Keep it going. Oh, ooh. D&D talk. D&D talk. Right. Whew. We're all gathered around to hear the tales. Where do I begin? Do I tell the extreme, like, moments? Do I tell the stories? Do I talk about my own experiences or the game themselves? All two of us. Yep. Here's my thought. So, if you want to tell specific stories of, like, what happened in the game, I have some YouTube videos about that. I could probably go find them, but yeah, I have, like, the assassination ballroom story all in there. Let's do a different one. Let's tell a different story. I'm going to tell you the story of how I got into D&D. Like, the campaign itself, things of that nature. Alright, so, when I got into D&D, this was back in high school, so, was it 2012? Just like, it was before 5th edition came out, so it was earlier than 2012. Yeah, I left high school around 2013. So, anyways, at the time, the edition that we were playing was called 3.5. There was 4th edition at the time, but nobody talks about 4th edition. So, I never even heard of it until I googled it up later. So, with that, I remember they decided early on, I'm going to be the cleric. No, that this person's going to be the fighter, this person's going to be the mage, I'm going to be the cleric. That was just decided right off the bat. I didn't know much about clerics other than they heal. So they built the character for me because I had never played the game. The first session was a lot of us running around not knowing how to use our abilities effectively. The rogue did not know how to get into a position to get sneak attack damage, so they did a little damage, they got hit, realized they needed to escape, and it was just a lot of them struggling to work with their characters. My cleric, so if you've played clerics in this game, you're going to be really disappointed to hear my character's armor was just a cloak. I had an AC of like 11. For people that haven't played Dungeons & Dragons, the worst clerics still have proficiency with medium armor. They have proficiency with, and most clerics, especially in 3.5 specifically, all clerics had as much armor as paladins, as fighters, as all of them. What they lacked was the weapon, and even like a cleric of war was like a cleric of war was effectively a better paladin. I hate to say it, but in 3.5, cleric of war was the better paladin. But they didn't know that. So I was just running around because I couldn't take a hit, and the only person that could take a hit was a fighter, who could only take so many hits. So it was basically all of us running around, hiding behind the fighter when we could, not really having solutions to the problems. Finally, the session ended when we fought some panthers who run faster than us. And the panthers, for whatever reason, were going around the fighter to the cleric who was hiding in the water and just started pouncing at him. So, yeah, the first session ended with my character dying. Because, yeah. Were you guys, like, trying to min-max damage and stuff? No, we were trying to play the game. We couldn't do anything. We were trying to play the game, and our rogues couldn't sneak attack, our cleric couldn't take hits, our wizard didn't know how to cast spells. No, we didn't have the wizard that day. And so basically only the fighter was able to do what they were doing, because it's, I attack. Alright, your turn again, I attack. Alright, they attack you, and they miss because you have such a high armor class. So basically, if you weren't the fighter, you were failing at your job, because no one knew how to do their job. How does dying work in short? You run out of health, and then there's some events in 3.5. The way dying worked is you rolled a percentile dice. Basically, you had to roll below 10% to stabilize. Until then, you start going to negative healths. Hitting negative 10 health is how you die. 5th edition, it's a lot easier. There's a little death saving throw box. People can pick you up easily. There's no negative health totals, so any healing heals you up. Yeah, so in case you're wondering, just the slightest healing spell, Goodberry is often one of the most abusable spells, followed by Healing Word. Okay, actually Healing Word followed by Goodberry. It's just Goodberry in certain campaigns is even better because of the health recovery stuff. Because in 5th edition, there is no negative health, and once you go to 1 or higher, you're back up. So, dying is very rare. In 5th edition, it's specifically, either the creature has an ability in 5th edition that makes it very dangerous to be unconscious, or you only died because the entire party got wiped out. So I hope we get a healing dude. So, Cyrebellum, you're an artificer. Pick up Cure Wounds. Pick up Cure Wounds. If you end up not needing Cure Wounds, then you'll just throw away later. But just pick up Cure Wounds, and you'll be alright. Just get 1 healing dude. That's, honestly, 1 healing dude, plus a guy to pick up the healing dude should he fall. That's all you need for... Okay, 5th edition, actually. 5th edition, healing is a lot easier. You have short rests where you can heal yourself. Fighters have second wind, so they have self-healing. So... yeah, okay, so Cure Wound, there are no healing cantrips. There are no healing cantrips, and... so, yeah, here's my quick advice if you are really worried about dying in 5th edition. Look at your inventory, see if you have 5 gold to spare, and buy a healer's kit. Before you start the session, buy a healer's kit. Ask your DM, can we go to town and buy a healer's kit? Done. Look up what the healer's kit does. You do not need proficiency of the healer's kit to use it, and it will prevent people from dying. They still might fall unconscious, you might lose the fight if you're not prepared, but with the healer's kit, you're good. You won't die. It's really hard to kill you unless they want to kill you. Which leads us to the other issue of first level, which we'll get... let's just talk about first level real fast. Your, health is based on basically a number rolled, plus your constitution modifier, multiplied by your level, effectively. You get a little more of a boost at first level. So let's say you're a fighter. It's basically 6 plus constitution, that total multiplied by your level, and then, like, plus 4, because of the max of 10 at first level. You're going to note that means, because it's multiplied by 1 at the first level is very dangerous. Cyrebellum, if you look at your spells, you can probably find a spell you can cast that deals more damage than your maximum health. You could probably find that in your resources, because at level 1, you have very little health. This is actually an issue that D&D deals with, but I actually enjoy it, because this means at first level, you have to be creative, you have to be cautious. At later levels, you could get punished and find your way out. At first level, you have to be creative, you have to be cautious. I really enjoy that part. That is, the fact that only ends after first level is my issue with D&D sometimes. I'm scared of wasting such a detailed backstory / my first character on dying right away. Okay, we have a story. There's the story. So, we had just built our characters in this campaign, and I think it was called the Sunken Citadel. It was a campaign rebuilt from 3.5 over to 5th edition. The campaign starts with us, we're up, we have to go down into the Sunken Citadel. And I remember our warlock just, like, super complain, like, oh my gosh, we have to climb down a rope to the Sunken Citadel? Like, he was describing the situation of the Citadel down on the water, there's a rope dangling off a ledge for us to go down with. He's just, like, complaining, like, oh my gosh, stupid ropes, I have a -1 to strength, things are gonna go so horribly, I can see it already. And while he's saying that, I look over to the DM and be like, the rope's knotted, correct? Like, we don't have to make a check to go down. It's like, yeah, the rope's knotted, you're perfectly fine. As he's saying this, the warlock, after all is played, just rolls the dice like, alright, here's my athletics check. So the dice rolls across the table, and it's a nat 1. And so the DM's just like, well, you rolled what I didn't tell you to, so make a dexterity save. Make a dexterity save. And so he didn't have to roll at all. He rolled on his own volition and did that one, because this is, this is like a 40 or 80 foot drop or something like that. So he makes an acrobatics check to try to catch onto the rope as he's falling. Another nat 1. This is 3.5, but this ruling works for 5th edition as well. So he rolls another nat 1, So he keeps falling. I'm like, wait, we can make it a dexterity save to reduce some of the damage. And he's like, and then Yam's like, no, Ben, no. He got 2 nat 1s in a row. God wants this character to die. God wants this character to die. So we picked up the damage dice, rolled the dice. He looked down at them. We are level 1, so I think his max health was like 8 or 10. And so he just describes, so the Fred plummets to the warlock of the party, plummets into the abyss. You see his head crack across a rock, splatter on, and 2 large rats come over and start eating the carcasses. With that now occurring, who wants to go down the rope next? So I tell him, yeah, I'm going to just use the rope, not make a check. He's like, alright, you go down the rope safely. No rolls needed. So don't roll if your DM doesn't tell you to roll. So we made a huge joke of like, so in that session, his next character was that Warlock's brother, whose stat block happened to be the exact same as the Warlock stat block, because we were just like, we didn't have time for him to build a new character, so we just had to play another character that's the exact same character, just not dead. It was funny. It was funny. Yeah, D&D is just dealing with the situation. Comic relief occurs. Some people die. It's part of the story. Honestly, if nobody dies, the story gets bland sometimes, in my opinion. Now, for the first 3 levels, you guys are still getting into the game. Get your guys to level 5 before Deadly Encounters hope. That's my hope. That you get to level 5 about before people start dying off. But tension is important. Tension is important, and stupid decisions get stupid rewards. Yeah, definitely. I will say, fall in love with your character. That's what makes the game so great. The fact that you can fall in love with your character. But I don't know. We tangent it off to that story. So yeah, okay. So with my campaign where I died, we ended that session, and we're just like, man, we didn't know the rules really well. It's like, all right, well then, Ben, here's the book. You read the rules so that you could actually figure things out. So I spent a week doing nothing but reading the 3.5 rule book. If you guys know anything about the editions of D&D, every edition of Dungeons & Dragons have made getting into Dungeons & Dragons easier and easier and easier. So, in 5th edition, the newest one, is the easiest game to get into. The rulebook, actually, hold up, just to show you. The rulebook here is only 300 pages, about. 300 pages when you add the glossary. This is the easiest rulebook to get into. This is the easiest one to get into. And it is easy. I'm going to say that right now. It is an easy game to get into. Don't let the number of pages intimidate you. Think of it as a glossary. Yeah, most of the pages aren't even necessary, exactly. So this is the easiest one to get into. I was learning 3.5. I need to learn enough to teach the other people who didn't know how to play. I need to teach the rogue how to sneak attack. I need to build a cleric that could actually take hits, who understood what their spells did. I need to learn a lot. Let's just say I needed to learn a lot. That was quite the week. And I remember I came in and, in case you're wondering, the reason I have trouble showing my games, 1, because I play with a lot of new players. 2, I was trained to be a rules lawyer. I was trained to have to teach other people how to play the game, including the Dungeon Master. Most Dungeon Masters hate that nowadays. Most Dungeon Masters hate that. It's a theme that I learned that I'm trying to unlearn, and it's really bad that I have that. But yeah, Dungeons & Dragons is a lot of foolhardy, fun, stupid ideas. I feel like if I were to tell just a bunch of stories on it, okay, how's this? I'm going to put this away. We're going to finish up our runs. And then we could just stop and only tell stories since we have nothing else to do. But I have one more run today that I want to finish now, so I don't have to wait even longer. But yeah, D&D is an amazing game. I would say, instead of listening to some of my stories, try to go make your own. Go make your own with your friends. That are going to be way better because they're your stories. Alright.